when you approach a company like Google or a research team at like Stanford University or wherever, is the idea of making an artwork a funny thought to them? I mean, when you collaborate with someone, is it usually the first time they've thought of what they do in an artistic way?
I mean, in general, I work with the people who appreciate imagination. I guess that there's this common pattern. And it's not so hard to, imagine people who have been like practicing in such an amazing mindset. I'm seeing a very similar pattern because these are the people enjoying imagination and looking for these, exciting questions. And by the way, sometimes science is very rigid and we have like a very concrete walls and rules and regulations. And sometimes it puts the scientists in a way that like they're in a, ultimate journey of like certain sharp clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel like when an artist comes with these questions that maybe not fit to the nature of research, but it just opens up a new kind of a curiosity, and it's a new kind of a new dimension. That happened to me a lot. Like when I talk with these wonderful people that we are collaborating and just discuss these ideas, seeing their face in a very beautiful, positive way, and then like enjoying their like knowledge and experience and try to reflect back what they know. And these are beautiful moments in time. And that's one of the reasons people are saying, like, who is your favorite artist? Like, I don't have a favorite artist. I have a favorite scientist. I have people that I admire because of their like, function and curiosity in life. I admire them more than artists. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, because I've listened to interviews you've given before, and your inspirations. Like you'll say you're inspired by Blade Runner or by this scientist or that scientist, and it's interesting because your work seems. I mean, it's probably the best compliment you can pay an artist, but your work seems the least derivative kind of artwork I've ever seen. I can't say, oh, that looks like he's inspired by Manet, or he was inspired by Albach or someone. It's completely original, and yeah, I think the work's just absolutely incredible.
Thank you so much. And honestly, my just desires find the poetry in those patterns and algorithms, and like what is hidden there, like what you can bring it out on the surface and bring depth to surface.
I noticed that after a certain amount of time in quantum memories, the algorithms that generate the image are displayed on the screen. And why is it important for you to show the process? Because that's something typically most artists avoid.
It is my obsession. Like, since I understand the power of AI, since I learned that how important to share, because AI is a very powerful tool, and AI is not something we can have a joke about it. AI is something I believe I'm in a very positive mood, and I always like keep my positivity and hope. And I believe humanity will be the smart move and will always keep the integrity, ethics beyond, monetization of certain things. But in the meantime, AI means our privacy and free will is on stake. Mm-hmm. So I felt my responsibility to explain which algorithm we use, how we use, which data we use. I'm very open in my process. And I think by the way, I have many copycats. Like I have a really, really copycat does exactly what I do in a couple of months. And I mean, it's okay. Like I'm seeing these people and, I'm not the gatekeeper of any idea, but this creates those problems because you share so much. And then maybe the technique of the artwork is now exposed to everyone. And it's okay. I think it's the idea. It's the idea of like freshness comes from something else, not like mimicking a technique. So I feel like the process is incredibly important to share. And sometimes I understand, like some art critics say, oh, like I now know everything about it. It's not anymore art. It's just this another like a screensaver or like, I mean, I understand this reflection, but I think it's too old school. I'm sorry. It's like a dinosaur, memories. And then it's just the opposite. It's the opposite. The art is changing. It's Renaissance. It's completely deconstructing the old world, and we're reconstructing a new world. And I don't believe the old biased like context and discourse works anymore.
That's absolutely fascinating. So you see the technology that you're using as being a part of this bigger story of the sort of technological innovation and AI, which obviously it is. But I love that the reason you're about transparency isn't just because, it's not about this sort of pretentious mysticism about your technique, which so many artists are into, but you actually think it's an important cultural thing to assert that we need to be transparent about how AI works. And in order for us to have a optimistic outlook on the technological age, we need to completely understand how it works. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And it's one of the reasons I'm feeling like honestly opening that gates of knowledge and experience, is where I found the open and honest connection with my audience. I would not feel honest and connected when I'm hiding all the techniques behind it, or the name of an algorithm, or why and how I do it. Like, I share so much. And I mean, sometimes honestly, like, my team's like, wow, like, you share all these things. Like, and then, yes, I mean, it's not for a gatekeeping. It's about like push the humanity's next journey, and in a way that we can be a part of it or not. I mean, if someone doesn't have a moral, they will do the same thing. It's okay. It's their moral, it's their ethics, it's their value system. It's not us. We find the other idea new and we just go somewhere else. It's easy. So
I find that incredible. You're the least egotistical artist I've ever met.
I mean, I don't know how else we can move somewhere new.
Why did you remove humans from the photos that you sourced for Quantum Memories?
For respectfully, I found that, at least in my practice, I'm very focusing of collective memories in general. I'm trying my very best to not to touch any personal moment in life. And it's pretty clear that if you look at the history of photography, the human point of view, of course, this is a moment in life is very personal. But if you are recording a building in New York, or like if AI is learning from someone's point of view of a building in multiple seasons and time and, different, condition of light, when AI learns that, it's not anymore someone's memory, it's a collective memory. So I'm trying to create that collective memory. Like, how can we look at the same context and perspective of life from multiple views and reconstruct them with AI? And how can we find those collective memories, like space, nature, and time is my practice focus.
You were almost trying to create then internet as nature. And because I almost see the internet as the new sort of wild or, nature that we can sort of dip into and dip out of on a daily basis or minute by minute basis. I know that you're a fan of Blade Runner, as we said before, and I wonder whether the blackout that takes place between Blade Runner 1 and 2 made you a bit nervous about your own work being lost in a global power outage.
So I feel like any Blade Runner nerd friends are very itchy about the of course, the 2049. But maybe I miss so much that I appreciate so much. Like, I don't have that critical eye that finds all the like logical problems or like emotional problems. I felt connected. I felt good about it. Maybe I'm living in Los Angeles, by the way, because of the movie. Very openly saying. It was 2000. I don't know. It was 2012 when I moved to LA 9 years ago, and I just couldn't forget that feeling in my 8 years old when I watched the movie. And I'm still feeling that feeling. Like, I have still the same feeling, like seeing that near future flying car next to a beautiful facade. I mean, that vision is incredibly powerful. And they kept that power.
But dystopian at the same time.
It is dystopian, but I mean, still there's a hope in the second one, especially. I can say the emotions are incredible. I mean, the idea of like, what can a machine do with someone else's memories is just an incredible question to me. And especially when to a sentient machine talking like saying that it's not your memory, it's someone else's memory. It's an incredible dialogue. It's a very powerful moment. And also like reproduction of like an AI and like, emotional expectation from each other. I mean, these are like a very remarkable theories of near future. But I'm also like very, I guess, feeling that when I watch these movies, it feels like remembering the future. It's like, very nostalgia, like a future nostalgia is happening in my mind. Like, I feel like I'm there. I know this. Like, I went there.
Perhaps because you watched it as a young boy, and so despite it being set in the future, you remember it as something in the past.
By the way, yeah, most likely. And then I get this very unique dialogue between a friend who has been practicing psychedelics and incredible neuroscientific research. He said, because I was so young, I reflect something very positive, even though it was not. Because I was just so like 8 years old, my belief system and the constructed reality is based on very most likely positive conditions. So I reflect a very positive condition to the Blade Runner itself. So it doesn't like click to me a dystopian negative narrative.
That's interesting as well. I mean, because I've watched Blade Runner 2049 multiple times now, and I almost watch it because it's just a pleasant film to watch, despite it being so sinister and dystopian.
Totally agree with you.
But Still, I wonder, I mean, how well backed up is your artwork? Back to the original question of this, because surely the ephemeral nature of digital work makes you nervous. I mean, if there was a global power outage, would all your artwork be stored safely?
I think that's a good question, and I want to jump to like very openly to the world of I guess NFTs, because NFTs are an incredible new blockchain, and the metaverse context is becoming very important. To me, like what is very inspiring is, at least in my humble view, is now we have a major shift and a renaissance happening at the moment. So 2018, one of my collector, I'm very fortunate that since 2012, I have collectors in the world. And this collector was 2018.